Occupy people were mad open. The new activists were mad open to the InfoWar information. So when the first day of Occupy San Antonio rolls around, we got like 200 plus people. We created our own banner. We were handing out mad info. We protested the Federal Reserve. Everything was all good. The next day, one of my friends shows up to Occupy San Antonio, and they tell him not to bring a Ron Paul sign. They tell him that Ron Paul sign is going to offend people. And he asked them, well, hey, Occupy San Antonio, don't we support auditing the Federal Reserve? They said yes. He said, well, don't you think Ron Paul is our best man to do that? They said no. And that was the day after the march. So going back to the day of the march, we're hanging out. It's myself and Cody Hess, who co-hosts Truth Exposed Radio with myself. And Cody gets approached by MoveOn.org guy. And the guy's like, hey, why don't you join MoveOn.org? It does the same thing this does. And Cody's like, wait, what? And Cody's like, you're a MoveOn.org? And Cody starts grilling him about the Federal Reserve, the Jekyll Island, the international bankers, and the New World Order. The guy gets so frustrated, he gets mad, he gets pissed, he turns around and walks off.
They should have crossed to a vampire.
He should have did something, but he didn't give up. I think that guy was walking to everybody in the group, and that's to say provocateurs started coming up, talking about communism, socialism, and that was the day of the march, October 6th. The next day, they tell us no Ron Paul signs, and then they take a vote. We don't want to go to the Federal Reserve when Alex Jones is going to be here, and that's what happened. And then people were telling me, hey, they started a whisper campaign and said, hey, Matthew Medina's trying to take over this group. He's going to bring Alex Jones. He's handing out InfoWars stuff. And what happened, it had a backlash. Everybody's coming up to me saying, I don't understand why they're saying that about you. They're like, I don't understand why they're doing this. They're just creating division. I'm like, exactly. Well, look, now you see. Now you guys see. A lot of new activists have their minds right, they have their hearts right, but there are people coming in and manipulating that. So I'm just encouraging people. I mean, we experienced it. We saw the co-opting come in, and it's coming in. Regarding the Occupy movement, I've been a part of Occupy San Antonio. I was part of the media team, and I dropped out.
Back that up. That's fine. Back that up live. Back that up live. Just to describe why here on air you see that space, we're going to get to that in a minute. The cops showed up right then, and they came to me and said, hey, Alex, you got to go talk to the cops. So I told Medina, hold on a minute, we're going to finish your interview. So we'll go back to the rest of his interview after the cops left, and then we'll come back and actually I'll set up the next clip with the cops. But let's go back to the rest of Medina breaking down what happened.
There are people coming in and manipulating that. So I'm just encouraging people. I mean, we experienced it. We saw the co-opting come in, and it's coming in. Regarding the Occupy movement, I've been a part of Occupy San Antonio. I was part of the media team, and I dropped out whenever they told my friend he couldn't have a Ron Paul sign. The Ron Paul sign offends people. So what I am seeing in the Occupy movement is internal thought policing going on. There's a unanimous kind of consensus that certain issues shouldn't be talked about, certain things shouldn't be said, and the activists in that police it. I was megaphoning satire yesterday, and a gentleman said, no, we don't do that, we don't do that. So who is we? We the movement. We don't say certain things. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he got frustrated and walked off, and it happened again. And then we saw it happen later, and then last night I saw the news Adam Kokesh video of Occupy Washington, D.C. His previous video showed how the facilitators were provoking them to go on private property and go on the streets and block traffic, do illegal things, provoking the Occupy crowd. So Kokesh has a new video where it's almost cult-like. The members get up and they're like, no, don't record it. And Adam Kokesh is like, this is in public. I can record y'all. And I've seen that kind of similar behavior over here. It's almost cult-like in the activist community. It's like, don't say this, don't do that. This is what we're about. This is what you should be about. So as an activist, I just want to warn you all out there about these tactics, about this co-opting, the subverting of standing up for yourself as an individual and saying what you want. You have your freedom of speech, and no collective should tell you not to say what you want to say. And if you are part of a collective that does do that to you, that is a red flag that you should think for yourself and get out of that. And look, there are well-meaning people in the Occupy movement who have their hearts and their minds on the right reasons to do it. And that's why I am there waking people up. That's why I go hand out DVDs. And that's why you should wake up as many people as you want. Because the New World Order is looking to co-opt this mass movement. And it's up to us to wake the people up and steer them to the real direction and show them who the real criminals are. The New World International Banking Cartel. We're not going to stop. We are the future. We are the hope. We are the inspiration and motivation to all the people of the world. We are change!
All right, folks, we're back. And again, our microphones were shorting out. It was raining so hard. So that was a camera inside a bag shooting that. So that's why you hear that pitter patter. But I kind of think it's relaxing in a way. As long as the drought's been here in Central Texas, I'm liking the sound of that rain hitting that camera. But again, Matt Medina, some of the other We Are Change folks called me like a week and a half ago. And they go, Alex, we love you. But this Occupy Wall Street, no, they're good. They're good. And I was like, yeah, that's because the operatives haven't gotten there yet. I'm talking about New York. The people are good, but the operatives are there. Like when they directed them out on the Brooklyn Bridge to block all that. This is all to give the idea of violence and everything to anybody that tries to protest Wall Street. And it's designed to make it be a Democratic Party thing. Well, the Democratic Party is the left wing, and you got the Republicans, the right wing of the same bird. I mean, I'm here saying the emperor is wearing no clothes. Just like I'm here. Listen, 10 years ago, I would go out to Federal Reserve demonstrations. We didn't call it in the Fed. We called it abolish the Federal Reserve. We didn't have kind of the slick slogans that Ron Paul's come up with, and we thank him for that. And real simple stuff like in the Fed. What's another Ron Paul quote? In the empire of lies, you know, it's treason to tell the truth. The point is, we would go out to these Federal Reserve, and you see them on YouTube. People found them and uploaded them. We would go out and protest. And the cops would sit there and laugh at us when we said this is not federal. Because these Federal Reserve buildings look like post offices or U.S. mints. I mean, Gothic eagles, big seals, Federal Reserve, you know, federal bold print. They say they're federal. Rush Limbaugh says it's federal. And that's why this next video is so important. The reason it's so important, they're so used to me looking for Google clips. They're actually trying to find the Ron Paul quote about in the empire of lies, telling the truth is a treasonous act. Or what's the exact quote? It doesn't matter. It's on the back of one of his books I read. The point I'm getting at, good job trying to find it though. The point I'm getting at is the video clip you're about to see, and then we're going to go to break and come back with Kurt Haskell. The video clip you're about to see is so important because it shows how perception works. I fall for the very same thing I'm always talking about. And I'll go ahead and give you the answer before we go to it, because a lot of you won't catch it, because I didn't catch it until the third time I saw it. Everything is about coloration in nature. You've got a lot of butterflies that have what looks like the eyes of a predator on its wings. You've got caterpillars that camouflage themselves like a predator. You've got a lot of this going on. And the private Federal Reserve is private. It took over the country 98 years ago. Its charter is up in 2 years. We could get rid of it then just by not renewing its charter. Amazing. Kind of like the Patriot Act's up every few years. We could get rid of it. That's one thing the establishment does, is they always put a time limit on something. So if they want to get rid of something, they can. But we've come up to this point now of 6 big mega banks who met in secret 100 years ago. They met in 1910. So I guess now a little over 100 years ago. They met, and they've bragged about it since then. J.P. Morgan, the actual J.P. Morgan, not the J.P. Morgan of the day, but same company. Other, you know, the Rockefellers, you name it. They met at Jekyll Island, and they said, we'll call ourselves federal, and we'll also use our newspapers to attack the Federal Reserve and say we don't want it. And because we're so universally hated, being the robber barons that have done all this horrible stuff, the people will support it. But actually, the people didn't support it. They woke up to that scam, so they had a non-quorum vote. 3 senators passed the Federal Reserve Act on December 23rd, right before Christmas, at almost midnight. So here we are 90-plus years later, 98 years later, 100-plus years since their secret meeting at Jekyll Island to conceive this act, trying to get rid of it. And the cops all over the country, even in Dallas, I say 10 years ago, some of the cops were still laughing at me in Dallas because they had stuck signs up and put fences up saying private property. And I said, look, it looks like a federal building. It's got a big armored wall around it. And it says Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, Texas. But look right there, they stuck these signs in the dirt, in the grass, saying, this is private property, keep off. Federal Reserve, private property, keep off. And I was saying, don't you see the hoax? This is camouflaged. This is like a man dressed up like a woman or something trying to go in the women's bathroom. I mean, This is like German soldiers trying to infiltrate New Jersey during World War II, dressed up like American soldiers trying to blow up ammo dumps. That actually happened. I'm like, this is fake. And the cops would go, oh, listen to this conspiracy theorist. Because the feds, and we've gotten these from good police that are awake, issue them every month, training manuals and alerts saying the Federal Reserve is a federal agency. It's here to keep America safe. These dangerous kooks are coming to tell you it's not federal. Don't listen to them. So I'm there talking to the cops saying, please, this is private. Look, it looks like a federal building. It says it's federal. It's not. And some were laughing. A few were nodding, saying, we agree with you. The head cop, called me on the phone before and said, oh, I know, about this, but, I just want to make sure everything's going to be peaceful. So some of the cops were nodding their head and waving at me, but others were still laughing. Now, you go to San Antonio, and I'm around the corner interviewing Matt Medina out of the rain, under the awnings there, and they come over to the interview and they go, the cops are here, they want to talk to you. So I tell Medina, we probably should have left that in the clip, I didn't tell the guys to, where I go, hey, we got to go talk to the cops, hold on a minute. So then I go over and they tell me, yeah, the cops are saying it's private property, get off. So I'm told these are cops. One of them was a San Antonio senior officer in his uniform, but the other guy he called captain was actually the head of Federal Reserve Security in San Antonio. But because people told me they were cops, I just automatically thought he was a cop until I went back and watched the video. And then went and checked it. He's the head of security there. He said, if you don't like what's happening, you can call our head office in Dallas. That's the Federal Reserve for 4 states. Region 11 is based in Dallas. This was a satellite bank we were protesting. First the main bank, then the Houston bank, then the San Antonio bank. The 3 branches here, but the head one's Dallas for 4-state area. And here I was, see the video shot, go home, think they're cops, and it wasn't until I aired the video on the radio that I thought, wait a minute, that guy may be Federal Reserve. Then I went and researched it this morning. He was Federal Reserve. So see how even smart people who aren't totally paying attention because you're busy and they keep you busy, it looks like a federal building. It says federal. It's got a big American Eagle seal on it. We get fooled by this stuff. We get fooled by the packaging. So I ran the headline. It's a very popular video. Cops admit Federal Reserve is private. The truth was, I go to the cop, the San Antonio cop, in the clip coming up, in his uniform, the officer, and I say to him, hey, I heard you're saying this is private. You know it's private? And he goes, talk to Captain such and such, who's the Federal Reserve guy. And he goes, no, we're private. Please leave. Call our head office in Dallas if you want. And I walk off thinking, because I'm told it's cops, that it's cops till I think about it. But we actually had the head of security for the Federal Reserve admit it was private. And some people, my final point is this, some people think that, well, Alex, big deal, so they admit it's private. We all know that. We don't all know that. The San Antonio cop, who's a senior cop, I forget, is he like a lieutenant or something? You can look at his uniform when it comes up. The guy they sent out there on Sunday afternoon, he said, I don't know. And as soon as he saw the guy admit, yeah, we're private, please get out of here, see the cop starts smiling. I'm going, hey, you ought to criminally investigate this. And the cop's smiling more because for all these years, he's been told this is federal. And I'm going, look how it looks like a federal building. Look at the seals. Look at the names. And as a cop, he's going, yeah, this is weird. The head of security is admitting this is private. This is the first time he's hearing the truth. And it's a put the sunglasses on, they live moment, or a take the red pill moment, or a pull the curtain back and Wizard of Oz moment. And that's all I'm asking you to do. I'm not going to be able to show you the truth in the world. We all have our own perspectives. We all are limited. But you individually can decide to take the glasses off. And or put them on actually, or take the red pill, or pull the curtain back. I know that you are not seeing the full reality. None of us are. So all I'm asking is put the sunglasses on, take the red pill, pull back the curtain, wake up from your sleep, whatever you want to call it. Here's this video clip of the head of security for the Federal Reserve admitting that it is a private organization, and please get off their private property. And then we'll go to break and come back with bombshell info, and I mean bombshell, with Kurt Askel. It's InfoWars Nightly News. Stay with us. Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Alex Jones.
Good, how you doing?
Good, good. Can you just repeat? You're saying this is private property?
I don't know. This is the captain.
Sure, go ahead,
Yes,
sir.
sir. This is the property of the Federal Reserve right here. I just need
Private
you to go
though. It's not
back-
federal, right?
Yeah, private property.
Okay.
I need you to go back to the public street.
I think, you know what, it is private property. I think you're right. We will get off. You're absolutely right. Let me just ask you this one question, and I'm going to ask everybody to move off the private property of the Federal Reserve. Doesn't this look like a post office, and it's got federal seals on it? It says Federal Reserve? It's like counterfeiting or something.